Hello little buns, it is Steph. Welcome back to my home. My ring flew off. I am back today with another feminizing makeup tutorial. It has been a hot minute since I've done one of these, and I thought I would give you an updated one because, you know, I do one of these every like 5 to 6 months or so. And the thing is, like, my makeup changes drastically between each of those times. What I did in October is totally different from what I do now. And I just wanted to give you an update. But also, I was remembering when I first started transitioning, like the first few months, I was really afraid of people knowing I was trans. Not because it was embarrassing, but because I didn't want my safety compromised, my physical safety. And I think a lot of people are in that place. I think there's also a lot of frustration about where to start. I think a lot of trans people, you know, as soon as they start transitioning, they're like, I have to do everything right now. I have to be good at everything right away. And that's not possible. It's not a race. Cis girls have 10 years to develop these skills throughout their teen years, right? But as trans women, when we start transitioning, if we're in our 20s or older, we have to go through every single one of those phases very quickly. So I want to give you the tools and the resources to be able to do a very simple, basic feminizing makeup without breaking the bank and without overcomplicating it. So what I present to you here is very simple. Just take it step by step. If you have questions as the video is progressing, let me know in the comments. Hopefully I answer it in the video, but if I don't, I'll try to get back to you. Without further ado, let's learn some makeup. First things first, I have irritated skin today, which is very similar to the kind of irritated skin that I would normally experience way earlier on in my transition when I would shave. I did this by using a very harsh scrub, specifically to irritate this area, which I still have a teensy bit of facial hair on, so it does get irritated by itself too, but I wanted to create an example. To help with that, I'm gonna use a soothing mask. This is also really hydrating. You can tell I use it a lot, okay? One of the most important things is to moisturize, and a severely underestimated feminizing tool is glowing skin. I can't think of something more feminine, traditionally feminine anyway, because femininity is a construct that we get to control. But I can't think of a more classically feminine thing than glowing skin. It's associated with pregnancy. It's generally just an estrogen-based thing to have glowing skin. Obviously, it's not, you know, if you have glowing skin, it doesn't mean you're a woman, okay? But if we want to pull off that classically feminine and, you know, safe passing bullshit, then we need to be glowing. So this is just a hydrating mask that also soothes, and the good thing with this one is you leave it on your skin. So I like that. I'm gonna let that sit for a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to moisturize my lips. I use this super nourishing lip oil, which is different from a lip balm, if you can believe it. I've used this same kind for like years and years and years. This is the Clarins lip balm, or lip oil rather. And I get the mint one because the mint kind of helps plump your lips a little bit. It kind of swells them a little bit, which I'm into, you know? I'm also going to apply a bit of moisturizer around my eye area. This is specifically an eye cream. It's a soothing eye contour cream. Remember to be very gentle around your eyes because the skin is delicate and we don't want to damage that. Let's chat about something for a sec here. Every time I do an interview or somebody profiles me in like an article, the first thing they fucking say is Stef Sanjati, known for her makeup tutorials. But like, I haven't done a makeup video in probably 8 months, and nobody even watches makeup tutorials anymore unless it's for something like this. It's very specialized. I do more than beauty videos, and I'm not known for them, okay? That mask has been sitting for a little bit, and I like to apply another moisturizer on top because I like to glow as if I'm pregnant with like quintuplets, okay? So I'm just applying a very light hydrating fluid on top, because the way this mask works is that you're supposed to rub it in. So I like to rub it in with extra hydration. And now we are reflecting light like a mirror. Do you see that shite? Amazing. All right, we finally get to start the makeup, guys. I just really want you to make sure you're not missing out on hydration because that is honestly so important. First step in makeup is priming your skin. I personally do not prime my skin. People get mad at me for this. I honestly do not believe it's necessary, especially for the amount of time that I wear makeup for. However, if you're the kind of person that wants to wear makeup for an extended period of time, like 8 hours or more, you probably want to prime your skin because it's going to help the makeup stay better. It also tends to protect your skin, but if you're a skincare fanatic like me, you're doing a lot of cleansing and protecting already, so you really don't need to do that. But if you want to use a primer, go for it. I recommend one that has SPF built in because it's very important to protect your skin from the sun, to keep it healthy. Okay, we don't want skin cancer, right? But like I said, I'm just going to stop at moisturizing because it gives me the smoothness and the glow that I seek, that I would seek in a primer. What I would do after priming is color correcting. So what we're gonna do here is I ran out of my orange concealer a long time ago. If you want to get the best possible result, I recommend using an orange concealer, but I'm all about tips and tricks to make this a little bit more budget conscious and whatever, all that good stuff. What I'm gonna use is actually a very orangey lipstick. This isn't even orange, it's coral, but it does the trick and I really like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get some of this orangey coral lipstick. This is actually my friend Haley Alsacer. She did a collaboration with Annabelle for these lipsticks and they're fantastic, but also this color is perfect for my color correcting needs. So I get a bunch on the brush and I spot correct. So areas where I still have facial hair, it's very spotty and it's very disconnected. And I just kind of dab it on there and blend the edges a little bit so it's a little bit more seamless. Other things you may be interested in color correcting are things like redness. You would use a green concealer on redness. Darker skin tones, if you want to brighten up dark spots on darker skin tones, you can use also an orange. Orange counteracts blue and purple and just deep tones, which is why it's used on correcting 5 o'clock shadow. I'm using way more than I have to. I'll say that right off the bat because I like to make sure I am concealed. Oh, guys, the brush set I'm using. Hi, this video is sponsored by Vanity Planet. They have provided me with this excellent brush kit, which I'm going to be using today. I love Vanity Planet because they have these kits that are very beginner friendly. They have a brush for everything you could possibly need. The brushes are also vegan, they're synthetic hair. Some people don't like synthetic hair, but I will tell you as an experienced and certified makeup artist, synthetic hair is not bad, it's very good, and it's vegan, right? Which is the main thing that people like about this kind of brush set. The handles are super cute, they have this nice pink fade. Synthetic brushes, I feel, blend just as well as natural ones. There's like no reason to be using real fur brushes. Really. It's all in the technique. The brushes are a tool, but the technique is what really gets you there. So if you are new to makeup, if you are a trans person that's very early in your transition and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, I recommend checking out this brush set. I have a massive discount for you. There's a link in the description box. I really recommend you check it out because you can get a set like this and you already have a toolkit already. It's very important to have the tools that you need to do good makeup. I did say a lot of it is technique, but a lot of it's also the tools. You can't screw in a screw without a screwdriver, right? Now I'm gonna do foundation. I personally like to use a beauty blender or a sponge for foundation. Beauty Blender is a brand. I do not want to buy the $40 sponge that Beauty Blender supplies. So I just buy a knockoff version at my local drugstore and I find it works just as well. You can wet these if you want a lighter coverage and a better blend, but I personally don't do that because I like a very flawless finish. So all I do is I get the foundation on my sponge. Also, if you are covering up 5 o'clock shadow like this, I do recommend using a high coverage foundation. Full coverage is another word for that. Sometimes you can get a foundation where you won't have to color correct underneath. I like to color correct because I'm under a lot of lights for my work, and I just like to ensure that in every single environment that I'm going to be present in, you're not going to see through my makeup. What's very important is when you're applying foundation on top of color correcting concealer, and you might notice I didn't powder this concealer, or lipstick if we're being real, which a lot of people recommend you do is powder your color correcting concealer first. I didn't do that because I find it cracks on my skin, but I find if I just dab on top of the color correcting concealer, it does the trick and I don't lose any of that color correction. The next thing I'm gonna do is under eye concealer. Wow, okay. This is where we're going to integrate our first feminizing technique. A lot of people won't be using a concealer that the color I'm using, which is basically white. It's more of a specialty kind of thing. It's more of an advanced technique. I'd recommend you just get a concealer that's like 1 or 2 shades lighter than your skin tone in like a liquid tube. I would not recommend a stick twist out concealer for under your eye area because it's very thick and it will sink into all the fine lines that we have there. Even babies have fine lines around their eyes, okay? Stick concealer is just very, very dense and it's better used on areas of your face that don't move as much, like your cheeks or, you know, neck or something like that. So I've got the concealer on my sponge, which I like to use for concealer as well, but you can also use a brush, maybe like this kind of a brush where it's very short, but I like to use it on a sponge because I find it's easier to blend for the way I do it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna enlarge our cheekbones and broaden our eye area. And that's what we're aiming to do in general with this makeup, is to widen our upper face, right? To make our eyes look brighter and bigger and more like, ooh, right? Because like, I don't know, okay, it's just what we do. And then I'm trying to narrow the jaw area. So brighten, deepen, right? I'll explain this part later, but what we wanna focus on is really getting bright eyes. So I've got my concealer on my thing. I'm just gonna dab it on under my eye area. And what I'm gonna focus on is just avoiding going anywhere below the cheekbone. So I'm just kind of dabbing it along here. And I'm gonna also put it on my nose. The trick is not using too much concealer around your eyes because again, it can sink into fine lines. And also you don't want it to be that starkly different. Mine looks starkly different, but by the time we're done, it will blend beautifully with everything. So don't harass me. Thank y'all. I think it's pretty clear that one side looks brighter and wider and more like, than the other side. You know what I mean? I hope you understand. Generally, the shape you want to create with this concealer, even after blending, is kind of a triangle. So you want it to come down here and then come up the cheekbone and then back, right? Like a triangle. That's the area you want to have concealer in. But again, don't use too much. Just blend a little bit. It goes a long way. Now that that's on and blended, we're gonna put powder on our face. You might think powder and glowing skin are contradictory, but I promise they're not, and I'm going to show you how. What you need is a translucent setting powder, much like this one. I get it on the round end of my sponge. That's why I recommend a round sponge. It's easier to like place things in a certain way. You want to smooth out the under eye before applying powder. If you're going for a very natural look, you want to just apply a nice sweep of powder. You can even use a fluffy powder brush kind of like this. Just make sure you're not putting too much pressure on your skin because it will wipe your concealer off. You want to be very light-handed. So I've got the powder on here and I'm going again for a little bit of a more bright under eye. So I'm doing it with a lot more powder, smoothing it out and literally just placing the powder right on there. If you are a more mature person and you have a lot of texture under your eyes, I do not recommend this technique. I would recommend going very light-handed in the eye area. It's not that wrinkles and fine lines are a bad thing, but when you have a ton of makeup sitting really heavy in those cracks, it does look kind of bad. It's not that, you know, aging is bad. It's that you have to treat your skin differently when it ages. So we've got the under eye set. I also like to, and this is another feminizing technique, we're gonna shape our jaw a little bit with this powder. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my ear here, and we're gonna go right below the cheekbone, right here. Do you see that? And I'm gonna place that powder right below the cheekbone. And this is creating a different dimension for the jaw and the cheek. You might kind of see the sweeping kind of look I'm going for here. It's kind of hard to explain that, but I'm creating an area where there will not be darkness or depth on the face, right? So that's brightened and it's widened. Now, I used to just go right into my normal face powder. I'm gonna show you something that has changed the way my makeup looks by a big, huge margin. We're gonna go for a powder brush. We'll use this one. This is actually, no, we don't want that one. We'll use this one, okay? This nice fluffy blending brush, okay? We're gonna go into a powder highlighter. I like to use the Anastasia Glow Kit, and we're gonna be using kind of a mixture of this gold and this peachy color. You just want like a really smooth, buttery highlighter that's close to your skin tone. And this area where we didn't place any powder, but we do have liquid makeup there, we're gonna set it with highlighter instead of powder. And that's gonna really reinforce the glow in our skin in those areas. So instead of putting this on top of our setting powder, we're just going right onto our skin. And I like to do that pretty much in a C shape on the entire side of the face. So we're gonna sweep down the forehead and go on to the brow bone and onto the cheekbone like here. And we're just pounding on the highlighter onto foundation. The foundation's gonna grab that highlighter and it's really gonna keep it stuck on there and give it an intensity that you wouldn't get if you placed it on top of a regular setting powder. And then take a little bit on my finger, okay? And this is gonna really help to narrow your nose down. You might notice I brought the white powder really far in here. That's to create like almost a lift. So what we're doing is we're creating the illusion that my nose is actually as narrow as this line that I've left in the middle, and that this is all my under eye. So I'm taking that highlighter powder that I have, and I'm just putting that on the tiny little bridge that we left. And again, I'm doing this right on top of my foundation for longevity and intensity. And so we're gonna create a really thin, narrow highlighted line there, and that's gonna catch the light and it's gonna look like our nose is that narrow. I avoid the brow bone. If you have a flat brow bone like me, post FFS, or even if you're just blessed with a flat brow bone, you know, you can put the highlighter there, but I still like it when that's kind of matte and this is just the glow right on the nose because it makes it look very short and very cute. My pressed powder has a bit more coverage. I like to build up the coverage, and also I find things with a tiny bit of coverage help to blend what we've already placed on our skin. So I'm taking this, okay, and I'm just gonna brush around the highlighter. I'm not going over the highlighter, around the highlighter, but over the white powder, just to dust it off. And what we're left with is a gorgeously blended face with highlighter in all the right spots and a glow in a skin. But we're not done yet, friends. Now we're gonna use a contour. I, for a long time, swore off of contour because I thought it made my face look harsher, which it can, but it doesn't have to. So what I've learned is to be very, very light-handed with the contour, okay? So I'm using this kind of angled brush that comes in the kit. You can kind of see it slants down this way. That creates kind of a tapered look when you apply it to your skin. So we're gonna get the contour on. If you have a skin tone like mine or anywhere in the medium to light range, a taupey kind of color is gonna suit you best. You want to avoid things with too much saturation, too much orange, because that doesn't look like a shadow. And what contour is we're trying to create shadows on the face. So using something with too much color makes it look like it's blush and not a shadow, right? We wanna go for a more natural looking creation here. So I've applied a light amount to the brush. I'm waving it just to get rid of any excess that's on there so we don't get it falling on our skin. I'm gonna place it just above where I put the white powder along the jawline, right? So just underneath that highlighter, we're creating a little carved out section. And I'm not applying it like this. I'm not going vigorously. You might notice I'm going very gently and I'm just brushing upwards. What we're trying to do is create a shadow underneath of our cheekbone that makes it look like our cheekbone is more wide and our jaw is more slender. I also like to hold the brush closer to the actual bristles when I do this because it gives me more control over where I'm placing it. Because if I was back here, I just feel like I have less precision. Just a little tip from your mother. We've contoured that cheekbone so it looks more like we have that like, ooh, ew, as our first part in widening this and narrowing this. Next, I'm going to take that same contour and I'm going to go right down beside the ear like that to create a shadow. So we can start with the jaw as it attaches to the ear area by just going down beside the ear. But make sure it's not just a straight line. You're going to want to blend it a little bit. For the jaw, I used to make the mistake of just going with my jaw closed and just pouting it on with my mouth closed. And what would happen is when I would talk, I would have a straight line coming down above my jaw because my mouth opens, the skin moves, right? And then suddenly all of my contour that was down here is up here when my mouth is open. Doesn't look right. So what I do is I open my mouth really wide and I create the contour where my jaw would be with my mouth open, okay? Like this. And then what we have is a more slender jaw. It makes our neck look thinner and more feminine, which is like now I like to bring a little bit more warmth into the skin. So I'm gonna go for a bronzer. I like to use a matte bronzer because I don't wanna go for too much shine in the area that I'm making deeper. If you put highlighter, like a bronzy, like shimmer into your contour, it's gonna make it pop out. So it's not gonna look like a contour, it's gonna look like a highlighter, right? So I like to use a matte bronzer because what I'm doing is going over the areas I contoured and just bringing some color back into them. So I get it on that flat topped round brush and I almost push it up onto the cheek. So we're not pulling it down. We're not pulling that cheekbone down. We're pushing it up, right? And that creates a more natural looking shadow. And this warmth just makes my skin look a little bit healthier. I like to also bring this onto the forehead a little bit, just to bring that warmth back into the skin. And along the jawline. It also helps to blend out your neck contour, which can be very, very harsh. Next is blush. Okay. I like very reserved, dainty looking blushes. I don't go for super, super intense color anymore. So I'm using this really mauvey kind of color. You can see, like, it's got barely any pink, barely. It's very much a brown. It's very safe, okay? And the reason I do this is I don't like to bring too much redness into my skin. I like to keep it very uniform. So I just take this on my brush, tap it off a little bit, and I swipe that right along the apple of the cheek, just sideways. We're not creating angles with this. We're just bringing color. If you have a more intense blush, be careful because obscene amounts of blush can look very gaudy, which if that's what you want to go for, that's okay, right? That's all right. But what I'm trying to teach you is a very subdued, natural look to give you that safe feeling of femininity, right? If you just want to go out and not be bothered, this is the kind of thing I'm trying to teach you. I think it's beautiful to express your specific individual femininity in a number of ways, but I don't think you need somebody to teach you to do that because everybody's different in that way, right? So I want to give you tools to create a look where you feel safe. That's what this is. This is very safe. This is not exciting. This is not expressive. This is safe because a lot of us need that safety, okay? Next, I'm going back to that Anastasia Glow Kit. I'm going to use this bronzy highlighter. This is not necessary. I like to do this because it makes me feel very sun-kissed, okay? Taking that on that big fluffy brush from Vanity Planet again, and we're just going to go right on top of the highlighted area And this I find helps to blend together the bronzer and the highlighter, and it gives a gorgeous sun-kissed look, but you don't have to do this. The next thing I'm gonna do, well, I'm gonna give my eyes a break because this one's watering a little bit, so I'm not gonna jump into that yet. I'm gonna do my eyebrows. So what I like to do for my eyebrows is, a common mistake beginner makeup artists make is they think that if they make their brows more intense, that they're gonna look more masculine, but that's not really the case. And what happens after we do our makeup like this is there's a ton of foundation caked into my eyebrow hair, and if I left it like that, it just looks very unprofessional and it looks like I don't know what I'm doing up close. So what is very important afterwards is to clean them out. You don't even need to use like makeup remover or anything. I just use a little spoolie like this. You can even get an old mascara wand that you've kept for some reason and just clean it up really nice. And just use that after you're done all of your face makeup. And just brush through your brow hair to get it clean again so there's no, beige overlaying the dark hair. And then if you have dark hair like me, what is a safe range to go with is within, well, you know what, either way, whether you have light hair or dark hair, it's safe to go within 3 shades of your hair color. My hair is literally black or very close to black, except for the white part, but I don't use that as my brow color, okay? So I use straight up black eyeshadow on part of my brow. What I like to do, and what is, in my opinion, very feminine, is a softer front of your brow and a harsher back. So you create a really strong shape back here and it makes it look very structured and like you take good care of it, right? And then the front being soft kind of softens everything up, right? It keeps things diffused. If you just went and did really harsh square like angles everywhere, it does look very sharp, which can be a great look if that's what you're going for. But if you want to go for natural, safe, like we're doing today, I think the softer the better. So I'm taking that black eyeshadow because my hair is very dark, and I'm using an angled brush. This one comes with the Vanity Planet kit. I like this one because it's very stiff. I don't like angled brushes for doing brow work that are very flimsy and they flop around a lot because I like getting precision. Using that black eyeshadow to create the back of my brow. And when I look at a straighter brow, it just softens the whole expression. It softens the whole face. And I think that's very kind looking, which again, femininity does not have to be soft and kind, okay? But I'm just teaching you the basic, okay? So we've done the back of my brow in that darker color. Now I'm going to a much lighter brown color, and I'm gonna fill in the rest of the brow with that. Now, what you might be wondering is, Steph, how do I know where to start my brow? Where does it start? Here's a trick I learned a long, long time ago, and I think it's pretty much, a lot of people do this kind of trick. You take your brush, you angle it up with the side of your nose, wherever the side of your nose is, no matter what size it is, whatever, it's always gonna suit your face. You angle it up with the side of your nose, and I like to use a little bit of the color on there, and I just create a line wherever the side of my nose guides upwards from. Does that make any sense? I hope it do. I hope it do. So you can see I've kind of created a line there, and my brows are a little bit more farther apart than I like personally, but really, brow placement is entirely personal choice. That's very much a style choice. What comes into this whole femininity factor of it is the color of it and the softness of it, right? Now I'm just going to connect that line to the rest of the brow and softly fill in that front area. I feel like this looks a little bit too edged for my personal taste, so I like to take that spoolie again afterwards and just diffuse that front area a little bit, soften it up, get rid of any excess, because sometimes there's a bit of powder that's kind of just sitting there on a hair, and like 10 minutes later it'll fall and you'll have a black spot somewhere on your face. So I like to just brush through and diffuse it gently after I'm done. So there we go, we're done. We're done pretty much everything. What I like to do, your eye makeup can really be up to you. I find what is safer is just mascara. So I'm gonna start with that and show you what that looks like. Curling your lashes creates a more feminine appearance because it just looks like they're out of your eye, right? They're lifted, so your eye is bigger, it's brighter, it looks more expressionful. Is that a word? So an eyelash curler is a lot scarier than it looks. You can have your eye open even. You just clamp down on those lashes for a couple seconds. You can squeeze them or you can just leave it there, and it totally changes the way your eyes look. If your eyes start watering, let them heal and recover before you put mascara on because it will run. If you get mascara on your skin, just wait for it to dry before you go and, try to get it off, because if you go for it when it's wet, it's gonna smear everywhere and you're gonna get black blotches and it's gonna look awful. But if you let it dry in just a tiny little dot, and then you go in with a Q-tip, it'll flake right off and you won't have any problem. If you have larger eyes than me and you can wear false lashes without a full eyeliner look, that might be something you want to do. But I find just because my eyes are kind of small, when I put lashes on, without like a full, winged liner, which is the antithesis of gentle. It kind of makes my eyes look smaller and closes them. All right, so that's where I would stop. If I'm just doing a gentle everyday look, this is where I would stop. Lips, I'm lying to you. I do lips. So this is called nude. The colors is called nude. It doesn't matter what brand it is. Usually colors that are called nude are nude for white people, but you can find colors that suit you as a nude shade. And by a nude shade, I mean, it looks like almost your skin tone. You can find that with many brands and many different shades. It's hard to find one that you think is perfect, but when you find it, I think it's a beautiful thing to go for. So I'm using this very gentle, pinky, mauvey, skin tone-y kind of color. And I am coloring in my lips. What you can do to enlarge your lips, which is considered more feminine as large lips, right? Is if you're gonna enlarge them with like a lip liner or a lipstick, don't go wildly out there because that again looks very gaudy and it's very noticeable up close, which is not very safe, right? Not very gentle. Again, if you wanna do it, you do it, okay? That's okay. I'm just trying to teach you the basics here. If you're gonna overline your lips, which is what that's called, just go right on the edge of them, and then it's almost indistinguishable. If you go like way beyond to the point where there's a shadow where your natural lip actually is, it looks kind of bizarre up close. And now, because I think that might be a little bit too nude, they almost don't appear, I'm gonna throw on a little bit of color on top. Let's go for this slightly darker color. Now, I would feel pretty darn comfortable going almost anywhere with this makeup on. You can elevate this again if you want to, and I will show you how to do that. Give me just 1 second, I wanna put jewelry on because I was supposed to put it on earlier in the video and I forgot to do it. If I wanted to take this up a little bit, if I wanted to like maybe go out with some friends or go out for dinner and I just wanted a little bit more pizzazz, what is very easy to do, and I highly recommend if it's your first time with shadows and things like that and you don't have a million things to blend with, is a liquid eyeshadow or a cream eyeshadow. By itself, it can look really good if you get a brand that doesn't like crease too much and fall apart. This one is by Stila. It's my all-time favorite. They have like a million liquid eyeshadows. This is a newer color. It's a really dark, beautiful dark brown. If I wanted to make this into like a going out for dinner kind of look, all I would do is take that brown liquid shadow, apply it real close to my lashes, a little bit more in the back, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then you can use your finger to blend this, but I like to use a brush because it's more consistent. I'm going to use this kind of rounded, short brush to blend this out. And I'm just going to, go back and forth on it. That was one product and one brush. Took maybe 4 seconds. Okay, maybe more like 10 seconds. But then we have this like just smoked out darkness above our eye and it brings in a little bit of a different level. And I think it's really pretty. You don't necessarily need to go for 20 shadows to make a beautiful, glamorous look. It's very, very simple if you make it simple. And obviously, it's great to have fun with more advanced stuff and more advanced techniques, but I just really wanted to give you the simple way to do things so that you feel comfortable, verging into this territory for the first time. Another thing I want to mention is you can also put mascara on your lower lashes. I just don't like to do that. I like to keep it very open and bright. That's more of a style choice. If you put mascara on your lower lashes, it can look great. But with my eye shape, I feel like it, again, closes my eyes off and it makes them look just like a circle. It just doesn't look the way I want it to. So I like to leave that open because it creates more angle, right? I don't know. Just my personal thing. I don't know. Having a bit of a problem just with my brain. Hold on. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you learned something. If you have any further questions about feminizing makeup or makeup in general, leave a comment in the description. Leave a comment below, okay? And I will do my best to get back to you. If you are another makeup artist or you are somebody that is just very experienced and you want to offer your 2 cents to somebody that has a question, go for it. It would be great if you could help me keep up with all these comments. And I want to remind you, thank you, Vanity Planet, for sponsoring this video, but also it's a fantastic brush set. So if you're in the market for a brush set, or if you're just starting out and you don't have many tools and you just want a set that's consistent that you can just go to and it's like 1, 2, 3, here's my brushes, it's a really, really great tool to have. And having the right set of brushes can totally revolutionize the way you do makeup and the way you see yourself. So I recommend checking that out if you're interested. Again, there's a massive discount. Using my link in the description box, I would say go for it. Until next time, just remember, your face is a canvas. Your life is a canvas. Do what you want to do. Femininity does not have to look a certain way, okay? It does not. I will see you all later. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye. Whoa, my fingers are bent, but it's okay.